Do you have an affinity with fairies? Do you bask in the light and warmth of the sun? Do you love the rain as it cleanses the air and the ground beneath your feet? Do you hear the whispers of the spirits around you? Do you love sparkly things? Do
Mm.
you love laughter, music, and dancing? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you may just be a fairy person. What's it like to walk the path with the Fae? Come with me on this journey and you'll find out. A word of warning though, once you've walked among the Fae, your life will never be quite the same. We open with a scene from Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream. This is a dialogue between Puck, Oberon's fool, and a fairy who attends Titania. In a wood near Athens, you find yourself walking. Tired, you lay beneath a huge shade tree and soon fall asleep. You awaken to the faint sound of voices. You lie very still, listening. You hear Puck say, "How now, spirit, whither wander you?" The fairy replies, "Over hill, over dale, through bush, through briar, over park, over pale, through flood, through fire. I do wander everywhere, swifter than the moon's sphere, and I serve the fairy queen to do her orbs upon the green. The cowslips tall, her pensioners be. In their gold coats spots you see. Those be rubies, fairy favors. In those freckles live their savors. I must go seek some dewdrops here and hang a pearl in every cowslip's ear. Farewell, thou lob of spirits, all be gone. Our queen and all her elves come here anon." Puck replies, "The king doth keep his revels here tonight. Take heed, the queen come not within his sight, for Oberon is passing fell in wrath, because that she as her attendant hath a lovely boy stolen from an Indian king. She never had so sweet a changeling, and jealous Oberon would have the child knight of his train to trace the forest wild. But she perforce withholds the loved boy, crowns him with flowers, and makes him all her joy. And now they never meet in grove or green, by fountain clear or spangled starlight sheen, but they do square that all their elves for fear creep into acorn cups and hide them there." The fairy says, "Either I mistake your shape and making quite, or else you are that shrewd and knavish sprite called Robin Goodfellow. Are not you he that frightens the maids of the villagery, skim milk, and sometimes labor in the quern, and bootless make the breathless housewife churn, and sometimes make the drink to bear no bairn? Mislead night wanderers, laughing at their harm? Those that hobgoblin call you, and sweet Puck, you do their work, and they shall have good luck. Are not you he?" Puck replies, "Thou speakest aright. I am that merry wanderer of the night. I jest to Oberon and make him smile, when I a fat and bean-fed horse beguile, neighing in likeness of a filly foal. And sometime lurk I in a gossip's bowl, in a very likeness of a roasted crab, and when she drinks, against her lips I bob, and on her withered dewlap pour the ale. The wisest aunt, telling the saddest tale, sometime for 3-foot stool mistaketh me. Then I slip from her bum, down topples she, and Taylor cries and falls into a cough. And then the whole choir hold their hips and laugh, and waxen in their mirth and knees, and swear a merrier hour was never wasted there. But room, fairy, here comes Oberon." Fairy replies, "And here my mistress, would that he were gone." As they walk away, your mind runs wild. What it must be like to serve the Queen of the Fae and live in the realm of the Fae. One of the purposes of the fairies in Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream is to poke fun at true love, and they serve many functions, one of which is to develop a theme of the play to show that we humans have very little control in this world, especially when it comes to fairy magic. Do keep that in mind when contacting and working with the Fae. Do you believe in the Fae? Belief is the gateway to a bigger and better world. Believing in the Fae is believing in yourself. It starts with you. Once you begin to truly believe in yourself, the fairies will show you a whole new magical world that was already yours to begin with. So work with a fairy, opening up their heart and take back that power. Fairies are not just for faith or superstitious. Belief in the Fae is still very much alive. As recently as 1962, a farmer's wife in Somerset, England, lost her way on the Berkshire Downs and was put on the right track by what she described as a small man in green who suddenly appeared at her elbow and just as quickly disappeared. A woman on holiday in Cornwall with her daughter came across a small green man with a pointed hood and ears. She and her daughter were so alarmed they ran for the fairy in terror. Also, an educated physician of Galway said he encountered an entire group on a road late at night, which parted and bowed to him as he passed. And a man from Yorkshire even claimed he caught one, but it escaped from his pocket. It's the history of the belief of the Fae realm. Now we're going to delve into the history of the Fae realm. Fairies have been written about throughout history and are mentioned in ancient texts such as Homer's Iliad and the Odyssey. Belief in the Fae started as far back as the 12th to 13th century through the writings of Gervase of Tilbury, a 12th century English scholar and canon lawyer. He wrote of beings that lived in enchanted places with human characteristics having both good and evil qualities, much like the fairies we know of today. When we think of fairies, we automatically think of good fairies, such as Tinkerbell from Disney. But of course, that's not always the case. Back in medieval times, when the world was still a place of mystery, all the way up to the present, people have feared the Fae folk, and there's a darn good reason for it. Fairies are not to be trifled with. Some can easily cast evil spells or curses on a whim on those who are mean to them or upset them. Fairies didn't always have wings. Flying varieties did not grow in popularity until much later, during the Victorian and Edwardian times. Speaking of which, in 1917, two young cousins from West Yorkshire claimed to have caught some fairies on camera, setting the public imagination alight. Finally, here was evidence of the existence of fairies. But alas, 63 years after fooling the public, they admitted that the photos were fakes. Even so, we're still fascinated with the world of the Fae. The evolution of the word fairy. The word fairy is derived from the Middle English F-A-I-E-R-I-E, fairy, which is directly from the French F-A-E-R-I-E, meaning the land, realm, or enchantment, which is in turn derived from the Fae. The term Fae refers to the ancient realm of nature spirits. Fairy, as in F-A-I-R-Y and F-A-E-R-I-E, are both used by historians and artists alike who connect deeply with the wee folk. I personally favor the spelling F-A-E-R-I-E because to me, it's connected more to the world of magic, and that's with a K. The spelling of fairy was shaped in the Romantic and Victorian literature. That's the more modern spelling, the Disney recognized version, understood across the world. Other collective names for fairies are the shining ones, fair folk, the little people, good people, and the Sidhe, which is spelled S-I-D-H-E. What do fairies look like, you ask? Well, it depends on the kind of fairy. Generally speaking, they're small, ranging from a few inches to about 3 feet tall. There are some, however, who can take on human form, and some who can even take on giant-sized proportions. Now we'll take a look at the different types of fairies and what they look like. The Azuri, similar to mermaid and the Selkie. The Azuri is an aquatic fairy. It is believed they reside in deep water and grow only by the light of the moon. Very beautiful and shy, they're known only to surface once every century. If caught or exposed to sunlight, they instantly die and melt into a pool of water. Their power is the power of touch. If they ever touch a human, that human will never feel warmth again. This is my favorite. The pixie, the lovable pranksters. The pixies are little fairies with gossamer wings, pointed nose and ears, and big heads. Well, big for little fairies, anyway. They're usually depicted as mischievous, small, and childlike. Although they can bring blessings to those who are fond of them, they can also steal children and lead travelers astray. They're believed to inhabit sites such as stone circles, barrows, and dolmens, which are megalithic tombs with a large flat stone laid on upright ones. They are chiefly found in Britain and France. And also, they are also found in ring forts. Pixies are said to have the powers to bestow wealth, kindness, and intelligence. The elf, which is half human, known for their longevity. Elves are believed to be half human with extraordinary beauty who dwell in forests, caves, hills, rocks, and springs. They are characterized by pointed ears, large, expressive eyes, and long, beautiful features. Though not immortal, they have good longevity, which allows them to live for centuries. They are known to possess a natural defense against dark arts and dark powers. They also have exceptional sense of sight and hearing and gifted with agility and grace. Okay, and here we go. Here's with the brownie. Brownies who are benevolent fairies. The brownies are benevolent fairies who help the sick and old. The brownie gets its name from its brown face and hair. Brownies are not visible to ordinary people and can only be seen with those with second sight. They offer their household services in exchange of honey, bread, and food. They possess the power of shape-shifting and can transform themselves into different forms such as farm or domestic animals even. There we go. The Sidhe, which is S-I-D-H-E. The Sidhe are the godlike beings of Celtic society. They are descended from the Tuatha De Danann. They're also known as the people of the mounds, the lordly ones, or the good people. They have distinct tribes ruled over by fairy kings and queens. They are known to the Irish as the gentry on account of their tall, noble appearance and silvery, sweet speech. In their fairy realms, they have palaces where they feast, play music. They are also known to have battles with neighboring tribes. The Sidhe are very powerful creatures able to cast very strong spells and are described as masters of enchantments. Fairy beliefs and Celtic cultures and fairy legends. There are enough kinds of fairies to confuse anybody. But what we're going to do, we're going to begin with the Arthurian legends in which the Fae appear in abundance. Morgana, Arthur's sister, was known as Morgan le Fay, which means fairy. Then there is the Lady of the Lake, as well as Arthur's wife Guinevere, who also appeared to be a fairy, as well as the sovereignty goddess. Even Merlin was only partly mortal. There are all sorts of fairy tales and folklores. Some of the fairies are benign, while others hostile to mortals. They come in all shapes and sizes, as we discussed earlier. Some of the earlier Irish or Welsh fairies were not in the usual sense. They looked very much human in size and shape, except they have special magical powers, and they seemed eternally young and don't have wings. The Dananns, which we discussed earlier as well, are the race of fair people. They can die just as mortals, but their lives can last hundreds or even thousands of years. These medieval fairies are different from common folklore and fairy tales of today. The Tuatha De Danann is nothing like the brownie, pixie, or elf of the later traditions. The realm of the Fae and the world of magic and the role fairies play. The 8 Sabbats of Western paganism have much fairy lore inherent in them. These sabbats are the winter and summer solstices, the spring and autumn equinoxes, and the four cross-quarter days of Beltane, Lunasa, Samhain, and Imbolc. Each Sabbat has its own fairies, which are most active at that time. It is traditional to leave libations out for the fairies after the Sabbat celebrations as gifts for them. Okay, on we go to the elemental fairies. The air fairy, known as sylphs, which are the guardians of air, also the easiest to connect with. The sylph's purpose is to keep the air clean and clear of pollution. They will awaken any mental abilities and when asked will assist with creative writing, poetry, and even exams. They're the ones that make sure the right doors are open at the right time so we can meet the people who can help us make our dreams happen, and they can also give you clarity. Known as salamanders, which are guardians of fire, they are lizard-like in appearance and are red, orange, and yellow in color. They exist in the etheric world until they are summoned to via a matchstick or a lighter. They are the most feared of the four elemental guardians. They are the ones that decide when and if a volcano erupts and can strike at any time in the form of lightning. Invoke the fire fairies for courage and all you desire and to ignite passion. The guardians of water are the undines. Undine literally means wave in Greek. They also come in various forms such as mermaids and water sprites. Water nymphs work to awaken our deepest emotions and stimulating our compassion and intuition. The mermaids, of course, are the most famous of the undines. They're the guardians of the seas. Water fairies offer to heal emotions. As they're connected to the sea, so they also cleanse and refresh, washing away old hurts. If your energy is negatively affected, working with water fairies can release the negativity, bringing in positivity and developing your intuition. The guardians of the element of earth are the gnomes, but there are many different guardians of the earth, such as dwarves, who are guardians and spirits of rocks, crystal stones, and mountains. Dryads are the spirits and guardians of the trees. All of these guardians work to enhance strength and durability, crystal, plant, and herb knowledge, and security, as well as focus. Okay, fairy rings. This is a warning to everybody. Warning, do not enter. Fairy rings, also known as fairy circle, elf ring, or pixie ring, is a naturally occurring ring or arc of mushrooms. They're found mainly in forested areas, but also appear in grassland or rangelands. The more the fungi seeks food underground, the larger the fairy ring. They may grow over 30 feet in diameter, 33 feet in diameter, becoming stable over time as the mushrooms grow and seek food underground. Deemed so magical, they can appear literally overnight and travel. On any given night, they can appear elsewhere. Do not ever step inside a fairy ring. If you do, it is believed that you will be transported into the fairy realm and have certain doom. You will be unable to escape the ring, becoming invisible to the mortal world. If done by accident, there is a way you can avoid said curse. You can dance around the fairy ring 9 times and only during a full moon, and it has to be the way the sun goes. Many myths say you will die young. If you approach a fairy ring on a very quiet day or evening, you may even be able to hear the fairies speaking in whispering tones and may even be able to hear small amounts of music. In different cultures, people believe different things about why they were made. It is believed that these are portals between the world of the mundane and the fairy realm. Okay, contacting and connecting with the fae. The first thing you must do is declare a state of intention of contacting only good and benevolent fairies. This is very important because, as you know from my presentation, there are all kinds of fairies out there. What you need to do is say loudly, those with bad intention or evil are not welcome here. You must be very welcoming, as they do not walk just into anybody's home. Just tell them, let them know what you want that you want to be with them. They know the real believers. The best way to contact fairies is, of course, out in nature, whether you're at a park or out in your backyard or garden. You need to surround yourself with trees and nature. Find a nice tree to sit under, and if you have a flute or recorder, play it. If not, have your phone with you so you can play some fairy music. Fairies just love music. If you don't have an instrument to play or you don't have your iPhone on you, you can also hang wind chimes, sing and laugh. They love joy. The fairies, of course, are attracted to people who want them in their homes. So put out a fairy door, a home, or a garden. They gravitate they gravitate to fairy lovers. Another way to make fairies feel welcome in your home is to surround yourself with flowers. They love flowers. You can set up a fairy garden or a house, but be sure to surround with flowers. Lots of flowers and plants. The next thing to do is rid your house of any negativity. Fairies that are trying to connect with are very opposed to negativity. It's pretty basic. They like nice people who are good to other people and animals, which they love as well. And so, in short, if you're a grump, they'll stay away. One of the ways to create positivity is to sing and dance. If you are not good at singing, put on some music and dance. During creating a positive atmosphere, there's a chant that you can say or even sing. Fairies, the child in me, lets happiness be. Push away dark clouds, let joy flow free. You can also leave out fairies' favorite foods, which are chocolate, honey, candy, cakes, milk. They also love celebrations, so whether it's a birthday or holiday like Yule, include them and leave a little bite of the celebratory food out for the fairies as gifts. One of the easiest ways to attract fairies is to leave a little bowl of honey out on your porch on the next full moon. Say tonight. Keep in mind, fairies love clean, so having a clean home is essential. Speaking of essential, fairies are attracted to flowery essential oils such as lavender, honeysuckle, and heather. One interesting fact is iron repels fairies. So if you have iron in or about your home, it needs to either go or be hidden. But that being said, if there are dark fairies about, all you need to do is bring out an iron skillet or cauldron and they'll run for the hills. So that's a great way to get rid of dark fairies if you don't want them around. Fairies also love beautiful, shiny things that glitter, like crystals, for example, fairy wand quartz, which is great for love, and pixie dust, of course, and also rose quartz. So please, every now and then, leave them a little something at their fairy door. The fairies are shy creatures by nature, and even though they're not seen, be sure that they are there. They may leave you a white feather, fairy dust, or perhaps even a coin. Maybe even a shell or stone outside their little fairy door home. All you need to do is just believe and look out for the signs. The fairy summoning spell. Magic, as you all know, is everywhere and in everything. Are you ready to journey to the world of fairies and become a child once more? Here's a fairy spell and meditation to help you do just that. Go to a quiet place outside in nature, whether it is at a park or your own back garden. Have with you a flower plant, either marigolds, lavender, daisies, or honeysuckle. Also have with you a crystal, perhaps a quartz, rose quartz, or even a fairy quartz. And also a tiny bowl of honey. Attune the crystal to the energy of the fae. Sit in meditation, sending out your energy to the fairies. After a few moments, open your eyes and say the following 3 times. Fairy spirits burning bright, come to me and shine your light. Guardians of crystals and flowers, I summon thee to spread your warmth and blessings around me, sharing with me your magical powers. May you feel safe here in my embrace, spreading your enchantment all around so that our joy and magic abound. Sit for a while, feeling the energy around you change, welcoming the Fae into your life. So mote it be.
So mote it be.
So mote it be.
So that is the fairy summoning spell and meditation. It actually doesn't require you to have a candle, simply because if you're out in nature, if you're outside, you just need the plant and crystal and your energy and intent.